right, welcome back, my friends. Thank you for joining me. Once again, I'm making a video that I really wish I didn't feel compelled to make because it's a little more on the sad side. And if you saw my last video, you'll know that that video was kind of that way too. And so if you're a first or second time viewer, just understand that most of my videos are not like this. It just happens to be what is currently going on in my life. I'm sharing my thoughts with you about it, and I hope in some way that it speaks to you, helps, whatever. You know, it kind of helps me to be able to express my thoughts. And so here we go. Today, this morning, we had to put our dog to sleep. Now, we've had our dog, I think, for around 12 years. I can't remember exactly. I think it's around 12 years. But he had lymphoma. And he was such a wonderful dog. And a lot of people could say that about their dog. They usually do. And every dog seems uniquely unique, right? I mean, they're all very, very different. They all have definite personalities, extremely lovable. Occasionally you get one that's not, but mine was, just like many others. And he was a retriever mix of some kind. I've seen a lot of other dogs that look just like mine, you know, believe it or not. But anyway, a couple months ago, I made another video about how I handle grief, and it had to do with, I think, my cat dying. And I talked about that. And I talked about how the kind of grief that we have spills over into all the other kinds of sadness that we feel. And I talk about how I've just learned how to deal with it over the years for what it's worth. But on that very same day, I found out my dog had lymphoma. See, my cat had it. We put that to sleep on Valentine's Day. And that very same day, we found out that Tucker had it likewise. And it just really hit us like a ton of bricks. And they told us then he probably has months to live, and they had a look of dread on their face. And when a doctor or a veterinarian looks disturbed by what they see in front of them, it really makes you sit up and pay attention. And our dog had been losing weight, but you know, he had been turning really gray also. And we thought, well, he's getting old. He's old, but it did seem like it was happening a little too fast. And of course, we found that out. Well, this explains a few things. So we start trying to mentally and emotionally brace ourselves for the inevitable. And it's really hard to do. And you know, you kind of convince yourself that you're able to do it. But when it comes down to making, you know, having to be responsible for making the decision as to when you terminate things, that's very, very difficult to do. The dog completely relies upon us. All of our pets do. I mean, without us, they might survive out in the wild, but not in a domestic situation. They completely depend on us. And especially dogs seem to express some level of gratitude, don't they? Have you ever got a pet, whether it be a cat or a dog, from the pound, from the SPCA, Humane Society? Have you ever gotten one from there and was able to tell a visible, perceptible difference between that animal and any other animal that you bought, you know, let's say out of an ad or maybe from a kennel or whatever? It's a very perceptible difference. They seem to understand that they've been rescued, and they love you all the more for it, but they're lovable anyway. But they just kind of take it a step above. Now my dog was not a dog from the pound. We answered a Craigslist ad. And here's the funny thing about it, was that I didn't even want a dog at the time. I mean, I did when we got him, but let me explain. For years before that, I didn't want a dog, because I'd had one in my 20s, and the dog was, I just wasn't equipped to take care of it. She was a nuisance to me, and I probably was to her too. And after that dog, I said, I don't want any more dogs. I just can't handle them. I don't want any more dogs. So our kids, they really just didn't really have a dog for a while. But then I had read a book about the history of dogs in America, and I was just fascinated by it. And I'm one of those people that when I read about something and I glom onto it, all of a sudden I have to have that thing, And so, I understand that a pet is more than just an acquisition. It's a relational responsibility, and I felt like we were ready for that, and we really were. We had plenty of kids. We had 4 of them, so the dog got a lot of attention. We had cats already, so the dog got a lot of attention, and he's such a lovable dog, very smart, very trainable. Quite needy, very emotionally needy. I don't know if you've ever had a pet like that where they just have to stay under your feet, almost like they feel insecure. And I don't know why. But that's what it appeared to be, like some kind of insecurity. And I don't know if that's what it was or not, but that was that dog's personality. And especially with my wife, that dog just stayed at my wife's heels all the time, always with her. And when he was younger and my kids were younger, him and my oldest son were just best pals. And we get to this point, that we get to this stage in the dog's life and find out that he's got something that really strikes at the heart, and it really causes a lot of grief. And it's really hard not to attribute human characteristics to an animal in a situation like that, thanks to Disney. We tend to think that, well, they're just like us, and they're not. They don't think like us. They don't ruminate on things. They don't plan for the future. They don't have existential crises and they're not like us. And so, we tend, not that we necessarily think they're thinking all that, but in some kind of a way we do, don't we? And so we feel sad for them. And the veterinarian had to tell me, listen, dogs are not like us. And it was good for me to hear this, by the way. It did kind of blunt the force of the blow a little bit. She said, dogs aren't like us. They're not thinking about tomorrow. They're only living in the moment. They don't even know that they're sick. They don't know what's wrong with them. They're not thinking about what is this, what's going on with me. They don't know. They just live in the moment. They just live with what they have. They're not thinking about how they didn't used to be or what's going to happen to them next. That's just not the way they are. And that's good to know, because when we see relatives go through an end of life situation, it's much, much different. Much different. So what is it about animals? What is it about our pets, especially dogs, that makes us feel sometimes more strongly about them than we do about people? Well, I think we can all surmise what that is. Dogs are, the typical things. They're loyal. They express unconditional love. They never complain because they can't. They seem to show gratitude. They're protective. They're funny. They've got their own quirks, and they become a part of the family. And we love that. But, we love that about them. But see, I think the thing about animals is that they're able to fill a quota that people never can. We can't, they're doing things that we wish other human beings in our lives would do. For instance, unconditional love. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And despite what anybody thinks, there is none of us that can give unconditional love. Now, some of you might bristle at that and really rub against it and say, I don't agree with you, Craig. But if you think long and hard about it, there's conditions. We all have our limitations. We all have our price. We all have our limits. That's just the way it is. Trust me, the one that you think you love unconditionally, they can do something to break that. They can push a button with you that you didn't even know was there, and it's gone. But not with a dog. Not with a dog. No. So we admire that in them, and we tend to feel so much stronger about a loss with them, because it's like, wow, I mean, they embody everything they're loyal. They'll never cheat on you. Well, that was nice. Someone just stole a parking space I was going to get in. They're so protective no matter the circumstances. Someone in your life can wreck the relationship they have with you to the point that you wouldn't pee on them if they were on fire. If they were falling over a cliff, you wouldn't extend a hand, right? We've said these things before, haven't we? You've had people in your life like that. A dog will never do that. And you might say, well, a dog is instinctive. Well, God bless them. They have instincts that we don't. They have instincts without limitations in a way that you and I don't. And maybe we shouldn't, because we're able to discern. We're able to draw boundaries. And maybe we're glad that animals, at least dogs, don't have that. Cats are a different matter. But at least we're glad that dogs don't have that. And maybe we should be glad that people do. But we want that. We want that from people in our life, don't we? So we feel so close to these animals. They annoy us sometimes. But they are who they are. They're never fake, and they never give out. They're not quitters. What you see is what you get, and that's what they will be from the time they're born till the time they die. And we would like to think that maybe we could be like that. The other people in our life could be like that, but we're not. We're not. But I think that's what causes us to hurt so much. Let me tell you something. Today, I was a blubbering idiot all day long. I cried. I mean, I'm going to try to do this without crying. I cried so much today, and I swore to myself that I was not going to do that, especially at the SPCA. I swear I'm not going to do that. I rehearsed this in my mind over and over and over again. I played it like a movie so that I could, kind of, gear up for it. Didn't help. I thought I was being strong, but when I got up, my wife got up and she said, I can't go with you, and I just can't do it. I don't blame her. I told her, I said, I told her the night before, you don't have to go. I'll understand. But she got up this morning and she was basically saying her goodbyes to the dog. It was killing me. It was absolutely killing me. I didn't say anything. I didn't break down. I took him out. I started getting a little weepy then, but I tried to change my thoughts. But there's as I got to the SPCA, got in the room, and I was okay until one of the veterinarian assistants walked in, and that feeling of finalization hits you hard, and I just lost it. And I lost it for a while. And that's when I realized I should maybe do that, because it feels dishonorable to not be emotive to another sentient being that has given us so much. It would feel wrong. I cry when other people die. Sometimes I don't, depending on who they are, or how close I was to them, or how they impacted my life positively or negatively. I respond in different ways to them. But with animals, they give us everything they have. So it just seemed wrong not to just let it all out. And I tried to be careful with the dog, but he had deteriorated so much that he was done. He was done. And every once in a while you see something in him perk up. You're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do it now. And you feel like to some degree you're betraying him. And I thought about that today. Like, why do I feel like I'm betraying my dog? Why? I mean, I'm not. I know logically I'm doing the right thing. I even asked the vet, am I doing the right thing? Yes, you are, she said. But I question it because I feel like I'm betraying the dog. Why is that? Because the dog's never done anything to me. I know that dog would never do that with me, because that's not what they do. I know it sounds weird, but yeah, You feel that because you want to save them, but you can't save them. I thought it over in my head. It's like, what could I have done differently? Can I turn back the clock? Can I change this around? And you think about logically, go, no, this is irreversible. If I stop the process right now, I'll wonder tomorrow if I should do it then, and the next day, and the next day, and then it'll get to a point. You get to that tipping point where it's, you waited too long, and it feels kind of unloving, but you know it's loving. It's hard. So I don't know that I'm offering any advice here. I don't know that I'm giving you anything, but this is what happened in my life today, and it's just, it's just rocked my world today. It's just really turned me inside out, and it's a miracle I'm making it through this video without sobbing. So I'm going to end the video now because I feel it coming on, and I don't want to do that, not in front of you guys. So yeah, I hope maybe that at least what you get out of this is that somebody else has experienced what you experience. Now you understand, or you have some kind of camaraderie. I don't know. I guess I'm just grasping for straws at the moment, but maybe it spoke something to somebody. All right, guys, thanks for listening to me. I promise the rest of my videos are not going to be like this, okay? Just bear with me. Please subscribe. Tap the notification bell. Like the video. It does help. It does help. Like it for Tucker. All right, catch you in the next one. In the meantime,